Howdy folks, welcome to Standard Deviant School, Basic Math. I'm Christiana Knight. Today's program is subtracting integers. You may already be familiar with adding integers, which is putting them together. Well, subtraction is when you take an integer away from another integer. This may sound cruel, but it really comes in handy. And integers don't have any feelings anyway. Let's check out what we'll cover.
First up, we'll talk about what subtraction is and how it works. Then we'll learn about subtracting positive integers, followed shortly thereafter by subtracting negative integers. Finally, we'll take a look at how to subtract big numbers, including a handy trick called borrowing. Now, on to subtraction.
Subtraction is the inverse or reverse operation of addition. Instead of combining integers, we're taking them away.
The answer to a subtraction problem is called the difference. Makes sense, right? The solution represents the difference between the two numbers involved in the subtraction operation.
Here's an example of subtraction using everyone's favorite intestinal meat product, tripe.
You've got 9 pieces of tripe until that tripe-stealing neighbor of yours comes by and takes 7 pieces of your tripe. You're left with only 2 pieces of tripe. This is the difference between what you had and what was taken away.
Subtraction is taking things away and finding out how much is left. Terms such as take away and minus are commonly used with subtraction. Both the operations of addition and subtraction are best shown using the number line.
When subtracting a positive integer from any other integer, you will be moving down the number line.
3 minus 6 means that you will start at 3 on the number line, or on the 3rd floor, and move down 6 floors. Notice that after moving down 6 floors, you are now at -3. You're in the basement again. So 3 minus 6 equals -3. That's all there is to it.
Here's a quick reminder that subtracting a positive number is the same as adding the negative of that number. So 3 minus 6 gives you the same answer as 3 plus -6. They both equal -3.
When you subtract a negative integer from any other integer, you will be moving up the number line. That's right. Even though we're subtracting, we're moving on up. To a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up. You see, when you subtract a negative integer, you end up with 2 negative signs in the equation, and a negative always equal a positive. It's the same as addition. Just think of it this way. A double negative always equals a positive. Let's do a quick example of subtracting a negative integer.
For 3 minus -6, you make it read 3 plus 6. That's because subtracting a negative number is the same as adding a positive number.
On the number line, you start at 3 and move up 6 places. Notice that after moving up 6 places, you're at 9. So 3 minus -6 equals 9. The same answer you'd get for 3 plus 6. So remember that subtracting a negative integer is the same as adding that positive integer.
Okay, now let's look at subtraction with bigger numbers. In subtraction, just like addition, you generally stack one number on top of the other. You always place the amount you started with on top and the amount being taken away on the bottom.
So we'll subtract the bottom number from the top number in each digit place. And just like addition, we always start in the digit place to the far right. Sometimes you may find that you have to subtract a larger number from a smaller number in a digit place.
Like 13 minus 7. The 7 must be subtracted from the 3 in the units place. But 7 is larger than 3. When this happens, you have to borrow.
Borrowing is done whenever the digit you're subtracting is bigger than the digit you're subtracting from.
In order to borrow, you must take 1 away from the digit place on top and to the left of the digit place you are subtracting, and then add 10 to the number being subtracted from.
Think of it this way. If the digit you're subtracting from on top doesn't have enough, then you have to go to the place to the left to borrow 10 from that digit. Now, let's do an example where we'll have to do some borrowing.
Where they are, they're dead. I counted 723 left. I don't know where the rest of them are.
We'll subtract the 287 ants that died from the 723 left. We start on the far right. The digit place in the far right is the units place.
So following the process of subtraction, we'll start with the units place. 3 minus 7. 7 is larger than 3, so the 3 has to borrow from the tens place. We take away 1 from the tens place, making it 1 now.
Hey!
It's always a good idea to cross out the old number and put the new number above to make sure you don't forget that you've subtracted 1 from the original number. And remember that the 1 from the tens place is worth 10 to the units place. So we add the 10 we borrowed from the tens place to the 3 already in the units place. So now we're subtracting from 13, or 3 plus 10. 13 minus 7 equals 6, which goes in the units place of the solution.
So we've got one of the digit places done. Now we'll subtract the numbers in the next digit place on the left.
We have to subtract the numbers in the tens place. Remember, we borrowed 1 from the 2, so in the tens place, we have 1 minus 8. Again, we have to borrow from the digit place to the left in order to have a positive result for the tens place in our answer. So we subtract 1 from the 7 in the hundreds place, making it 6 now. Subtracting 1 from the hundreds place is worth 10 to the tens place. There's 1 left in the tens place, so we add the 10 we borrowed to the 1 left to get 11. So the tens place is now 11 minus 8. This gives us 3 for the tens place in the solution.
The last place that needs to be subtracted is the hundreds place. Since we borrowed 1 from the 7, the digits in the hundreds place are 6 minus 2, which results in a 4 in the hundreds place of our answer. So, the answer to 723 ants minus 287 ants is 436 ants. You got your answer.
Don't forget that in subtraction, you sometimes have to borrow. When you borrow, you take 1 from the digit place to the left, which is worth 10 to the digit place doing the borrowing.
We're just about done with our program on subtracting integers, so let's review what we've covered today.
When you subtract numbers, you're taking one number away from another. The answer you get is called the difference. When you subtract a negative number from another number, you actually add the positive value of that number. When working with large numbers, you generally place the amount being subtracted from on top, and the amount being taken away on bottom. Starting with the digit place on the far right, you subtract the bottom digit from the top digit, working your way through the units place, the tens place, the hundreds place, and so on until you're out of digits. If the digit you're subtracting is bigger than the digit you're subtracting from, you have to borrow. Borrowing is when you take 1 away from the digit place to the left and add 10 to the number being subtracted from.
That's it for subtracting integers. We hope we've made subtraction easier to understand. Remember, practice makes perfect, and now you'll need to try some subtraction problems on your own. So get out there and make a difference. Get it? Difference? Anyway, thanks for watching Standard Deviant School Basic Math. Bye.